Okay, so I've basically have to say of all the things that I've hated about my gender is probably my period. I have never had a good relationship with my period, my fallopian tubes, or my uterus. It's really kind of just, they kind of fucking hate me a great deal. I always thought it was like really cool when I first got my period. It had to be in like, I don't know, like fourth or fifth grade, but I was like, basically, I was like fucking 10. And I remember when I first got it, I literally was wearing like these white pajamas, and I came out my bedroom horrified to my mother. I'm like, Mom, what is wrong with me? I'm dying. It was almost like a Carrie incident, so my mom didn't like scream at me throwing tampons or pads saying, plug it up, plug it up, plug it up. But like after that, I have to really say, like, every time I got my period, it was probably the most horrendous thing ever because I literally felt like I was dying. I honestly wanted someone to come up with a shotgun and put me out of my misery. It was just awful. I mean, there was one time when I was a cantor. I think it was when I was a cantor in grade school for our children's choir at a church that I had this really nice like Easter dress, and I remember I got my period that day, so I was literally I couldn't even do. I was amazed I could even get up and sing or do anything. And I remember like literally when I got home, I wanted to die, and like my poor dress got ruined. I had like fucking blood down the back of it. It was pretty fucking awful. But of all the worst instances of having my period, it had to be like a couple years ago when I first started this internship downtown, and I was going home. I was going on the train, and I literally just became physically overwhelmed and ill because I was an idiot and decided to take Midol rather than my beloved Advil. And so my cramps just exploded. I literally ended up throwing up on the train. I took my poor little grocery store plastic baggie that I put my lunch in. I threw my lunch back into my backpack, and I just threw up like horribly into this plastic bag, probably freaking out everybody on the train, making them thinking, I had some contagious disease and they were all going to die. But anyway, once we finally got to like Suburban Station or whatever, I basically hobbled up the steps and like threw myself onto like one of the benches in like the waiting area or whatever. And I remember just writhing in pain on this fucking bench as people just kept on walking by, not even so much as giving me a glance, except for this older guy that was like came up to me, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I need help." Blah blah blah. And so he ends up getting like there were like these SWAT cops that were down there that day, and they come over and they're like, "Are you okay, miss?" Blah, and I basically tell them I'm in pain. I can't get up. I'm really sick. And they're like, well, we're gonna call you an ambulance, and I'm like, I don't know, but we're gonna call you an ambulance. So they call the fucking ambulance, and I get basically wheelchaired out of fucking Suburban Station using like the elevators that go up from the station up to street level, and on my way to Hahnemann fucking hospital in this ambulance, there was like this really kind of cute Hispanic guy that was one of the EMTs in the back with me, and he was like checking my vitals. He was fucking checking my vitals, um, and he's asking me all these questions, trying to be really friendly, and uh, at one point he asked me about my birthday, and I was like, oh yeah, my birthday just passed. Literally, my birthday had just passed. I had just I think turned whatever age. But he's like, did you do anything special? I'm like, no. And he's like, do you have a boyfriend? Did he take you out? And I'm like, no. My boyfriend lives far away. That was a whole anyway. That's a whole other story. But so the guy's like, oh well, he better stick around, otherwise someone's gonna snatch you up. And I'm like, dude, chill your boner. My shirt's up right now while you're checking my fucking heartbeat for whatever god knows reason. Anyway, so we get to Hahnemann Hospital. I get wheeled into the OBGYN, and I thought it was really funny because my room number was like OB1, so I thought, oh my god, I'm going to like Obi-Wan Kenobi room. But after that, I'm sitting in this room, in this hospital bed, getting asked all these questions. Like, people were asking me if I was like experiencing a miscarriage. And I'm like, no, I'm not having a fucking miscarriage. I'm like dying. My period is killing me. And then finally, I got like shot up with like this, like basically it was called super Advil, as a doctor put it to me. And she like shot me up with this shit, and I felt like $1,000,000 afterwards. There was no pain, and I literally sat in the hospital for a while until I finally got checked out, and I ended up going back to work. But like before I went back, the doctor like gave me like prescriptions for like a roll of birth control, and then like the super Advil in actual pill form rather than the shot form. And but I never actually filled those. I never actually got those claimed or whatever. So, and that's like another thing. Like I don't even do birth control. I probably should, but it's like I'm like so fucking paranoid with birth control that I just simply cannot do it. I really can't. But yeah, that's my story with the period, the Crimson Tide, Mother Nature's gift. Oh, why the woes of being a woman? Fuck you, God. You brought this down on Eve. And I'm nowhere near religious. I just like to blame Christianity and for a lot of things, like my period. That's my story.